Any ideas on how much to bid to get upgrades to Royal Up? No, the bids are a blind system, Jim. So you have no idea. First of all, first and foremost, just because there's Royal Up doesn't actually mean there's a stateroom to upgrade to. That's like the most important thing to keep in mind. Royal Caribbean uses Royal Up as a backup. In case somebody cancels at the last minute, they can go look at what the bids are. So even if you max bid, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you're actually there's a room to upgrade to. So whatever you're comfortable with, you bid, but you should look at it, Jim, like playing the lottery. When you go play the lottery, you don't cancel, you don't quit your job. It's like, listen, I just played the lottery. I don't need this anymore. This is like it's almost it's a similar but different. I get it. Thought process. You place the bid, whatever you're comfortable with, and if you win it, you win it. You don't, you don't. If you really want to upgrade, you should call your travel agent and say, hey, how much to upgrade, and go from there. But otherwise, you could do. I've seen people have won their bids with minimum bids and max bids and everywhere in between, and there's no rhyme or reason to it because you have no idea. You have no idea if even if there are rooms available, you have no idea if anyone else has placed the bid. You have no idea what the current high bid is. And again, some people say, well, just do max bid and you're good. Well, I mean, you can, but again, that doesn't mean you're actually going to win it, right? So, yeah. Any tips when it comes to booking the tour off ship? Is it better to book on board or with your travel agent? Good question. When it comes to shore excursions, whether it's Alaska, the Caribbean, Europe, or whatever, I always recommend don't like limit yourself and say, oh, I'm only booking Royal Caribbean tours or I'm only booking tours on my own. But a good idea is to do exactly, ask around, right? Ask your travel agent. That's a really good place to start with. A lot of times travel agents can recommend certain operators, certain third parties that they work with that are, trustworthy. Then you can go off there. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. If they don't, that's okay too, because what I would recommend you do if you're trying to find short excursions on your own is simply Google. So, Brittany, if you're going to Alaska, I'm going to pick a port. Let's say Juneau. You would type in, this is what I would do, Juneau shore excursions. Simply start looking for things that are there. You're going to find some big things. You're going to find Viator.com and a couple others, but you may also find, more specific things. Actually, it was a really cool idea, Brittany, and this has worked for me, is I'll start off and I'll find like a TripAdvisor link, right? It has like the top 20 cool things to do in, activities to do in Juneau, right? And within there, if you start digging down and reading, you might find specific tours like, Bill's seaplane tours, and that offers you excursions to certain places, and that gets the ball rolling. Another really good idea, Brittany, is the Royal Caribbean blog message boards. Yes, that's a shameless plug, but I really do think it's helpful. We have a dedicated shore excursion forum that would be good for you to check out right there. So, cruising out of Galveston on a lure with the deluxe beverage package. I further researched on using the package on day one while in Galveston. What are those restrictions? Yes, Texas liquor laws are weird. They require that the liquor, I think, be made or distilled or distributed from Texas businesses only, but it only applies, Justin, while your ship is in Texas water. So basically, while your ship is in the terminal and for like an hour or two as your ship departs, once it gets into out of Texas waters, then the bars open up. So it's a limited window in which it occurs, but basically you're going to be limited to Tito's vodka, and not every single liquor will be available, but it's only for that part over there. So that's the rule, right? And that only applies to Galveston because that rule only really applies to Texas. And since Galveston is the only port that Royal Caribbean sails out of Texas, that's the only departure port that it applies to. What is the latest time to disembark? Right around 9:30 or so, it depends on the ship. By that point, they're making a lot of PA announcements, and they might even actually call you down, like, hey, go to Ashley, come down. You got to get off the ship. Which is why I did an article about this on RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com about why you want to get off the ship as early as you can. There's really very little point in staying on board. Number one, keep in mind, they're going to kick you out of your room after about 8 or so. So at that point, I mean, you can go get breakfast. That's totally cool. But there's really not much else to do on board. All the activities are shut down. So really, if you're not in your cabin and you're not eating, the other thing you're going to be doing is sitting around and just, I guess you can enjoy the view. You could be outside on the pool deck in a chair or on a chair somewhere else, but that's about it. It's like, it's pretty boring. And I'm like, you know what? Every time I've tried to stay on board as long as I can to prolong the vacation, it's not really a vacation. It's more just like delaying the inevitable is what it feels like. How is Navigator this season? I love it. I'm riddled with anxiety and so nervous. Oh no! It's because it's your first cruise. You should not be. You should be excited. I mean, nervous excitement. Yeah, sure, but you should be excited. Navigator is a fabulous ship I think her upgrades that she got during her recent refurbishment in 2019 were amazing. It's a great value, and those itineraries are great out of LA. So you should be excited. You're gonna have a great time on board. The only problem you're gonna have, Boland, I'm gonna be honest with you. The only problem you're gonna have is you're gonna go on there and be like, I want to book another one and another one and another one. It's very addictive, but you're gonna have a great time. Why were just Quantum of the Seas visits to Skagway canceled, not Ovation? Because the dock can only handle one mega ship. That'd be Ovation. For why they pick Ovation and Quantum, I have no idea. But that's essentially what they've only canceled what they need to cancel, and I believe that's the reason. As far as I know, that's a guess. To be perfectly fair, I don't know that like for a fact, but yeah. I booked the Allure on their upcoming change to 3-night itineraries. Do you think I'll be able to have a good experience despite such a short time on a large ship? Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, obviously, with less time means you have less not only less days, but you have less opportunity to do it all. But that's okay. That means just book another cruise after that and come back again. I don't think you necessarily need. I mean, even on a 7-night cruise, you can't do everything on an Oasis class ship. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Think of it, thrilling vids like doing a day trip to a city, right? Whether it's New York or Chicago or LA. You can't do it all in one day either, but that's just impetus to you do what you can, and it's a rationale to book another cruise after that. That's how I look at it. But it's great. Why not? Enjoy that. Being able to take advantage of an awesome ship. I love that Royal Caribbean is doing this. Having the Oasis class ships do short sailings. Because when I started RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, I remember in Port Canaveral specifically, the ships doing 3-night cruises were Majesty of the Seas and Enchantment of the Seas. And those are some small, old ships. And not the latest and greatest by any means. So I feel like with putting an Oasis class ship, a lot of people who are new to cruising they don't read RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. They don't get all these things about what they should book. Anyway, by having this is a really good. I think it's a better option to be able to cater to the new to cruise crowd, and I think people will just enjoy that. Would the gamble for a guaranteed serum for Norway saving over $1,000? Oh, was it worth it for $1,000? Yes, I would. I mean, as long as you're not look, here's the worst case scenario, Kathleen. You're going to get a cabin that's like all the way forward or all the way aft. That's honestly going to be the worst case scenario. I can't think of anything that'd be worse than that. That's not a bad thing. I've done that before. It's really not terrible as long as you're okay with it. Like some people really are adamant about not having a room location like that, but $1,000 is a lot of money, and shore excursions in Norway are not cheap. And certainly booking another cruise isn't cheap. So $1,000 saved is $1,000 you can apply towards some amazing shore excursions, dining, another cruise. So yeah, I think it's absolutely worthwhile. I've heard 2025 is the last year that Norway's allowing fjords cruising due to the greenhouse gas emissions. Have you heard this? I've heard this. I don't know the year, and I don't know. I don't know what you said is correct. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't know the dates or the details on it. But I have heard that they are or going to enact some sort of legislation around that. Again, these things change, and I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see. But the fact also, when I booked this cruise, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to be in England, so let me book a cruise. And the fact that he's going to Norway, I was like, oh yeah, that works too. So, like I often tell, it's always a good idea just to book your cruise sooner than later anyway. Do dining nights change? We sail on winter this season, July, August, and are planning our specialty dining. We have been looking at the main dining room menu, trying to find the best nights for us to make the reservations. Yes, there's a different theme every night, if that's what you're asking. And if you're also asking, well, is it always, French night on day 2 or something like that? It may not be. So what you want to do, Ryan, if you can, is, well, one thing is, about 2 or 3 days before your cruise, the menus will get loaded into the Royal Caribbean app, and you can check it there. Obviously, you're sitting here in May, and you'd like to book your cruise, plan your dinner reservations in advance. Plan in advance, book early, all that good stuff. You can always make a reservation and change your mind later. There's, as you know, you can cancel dining reservations just like drink packages in the cruise planner. There's no penalty for that. So if you want to make your best guess based on maybe something else you've seen from past cruises and roll the dice that way, there's not much risk involved. Just got to, keep track of it again. Thank you everybody for checking us out. I know I did not get to every single question. If you still have a question, you can post it on our message boards over at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, or we're back again next Monday or somewhere around there to talk with you more here on YouTube. Until then, have a great rest of your day, everybody. Stay safe out there. We'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.